Hey guys, my name is Miranda, and today I'm going to be reacting to the season 2 trailer for School for Girls on Netflix. I remember when I first watched the original season that was supposed to be a limited series, and then it did so well, and it really is a great show, that they decided to do a season 2. Now it looks like season 2 is going to be an all new cast, which I do know people are kind of upset about, but as someone who dealt with Elite when that show really should have had a whole new cast after they wrapped up their original storyline in season 3, sometimes it's better to have a new cast than have them bring back the old characters and just ruin the plot for them because they didn't have any characterization outside of what they had already done for them. So I'm curious if we'll get answers a little bit more as to what happened, because I am someone who very much does not like loose ends, so I very much understand wanting to know what happened to everyone after the season finale. But I also feel like I had read so many articles and so many discussions about the final episode saying how the point of it isn't really what exactly happened, but just more so the fact that it could have happened, or that it did happen in the way it did, and the unknown, as much as I don't normally like that as a device for especially an ending, really does work in this case. So I didn't realize that the show was coming back, and then someone commented on one of my older reactions to the season 1 videos that it was, and that the teaser was out and the trailer was out. So the teaser came out a couple weeks back, or a month back at this point. I checked that out, and that's when I saw it was a whole new cast and saw the comments of people being no, a new cast. And I am really sad that we'll miss out on those actors, because I did love the characters one, but the actors too I feel were really, really good, and I hope that they're in other stuff that I can check out. But I am interested to see what they're gonna build upon. I don't see how it could possibly be as good as season 1. I really don't. I feel it's very rare that a show recasts their whole group of people and is still as good. There's been multiple instances where a show has gone downhill from that, and like I said, considering the fact that they weren't really anticipating this being a multi-season show, does have me a little worried as well. But there's definitely stories that they can still tell, and I'm excited to see what it's going to be about and get more of a hint and a clue as to where this season's going to go. So yeah, let's check it out. Oh, that's the other thing that they pointed out in the trailer, the teaser. Everyone's different but that one teacher. And then everyone's well, what happened to the principal? Because, the dad at the end was I'm pulling all the funding from this school because of, what happened. And someone commented, oh, they're keeping it a surprise who the principal is. So, driving home today, I was oh, what if the principal is who I think the principal is now? And that would be really crazy, but I'm excited to see that, so. What is a back-to-school challenge? There she is. See? Is she gonna make a Finsta? Is that the same girl just without glasses? I'm confused. Oh dear. Oh, what? So that is the girl with the glasses. Okay. Um, I don't even know who's supposed to be the main for that one, because I feel in the season 1 it was very clear who the main was and who the villain was. I feel there are so many things going on in that I can't even wrap my head around it properly, because I feel clearly the emphasis is going to be on social media in this one. But I feel social media did play a very big role in season 1, so I'm interested to see what more, if there's anything they can add about that. I mean, obviously there's so much that you can say about social media, so that's not to say oh, because they did it in season 1, they can't do it again in this season. But I just feel like if that's going to be the main focus of that, then it doesn't stand out particularly on its own, just based on the trailer. I do think it's interesting that all of the main girls, like I said, seem to be getting equal time, whereas like in season 1 there was very clearly like main character, main villain, like the groups on the main girl side and then the groups on the villain side, whereas this one it seems like they all kind of have their own moments and things going on, and it's not really like one is like a groupie or something like that. So it'll be interesting, I think, once I see more of like the relationship dynamic wise. I do feel like sometimes I forget, especially like that trailer was obviously, I feel like, filtered and edited in a way that is very reminiscent of like Elite and stuff like that. So like when I see that, I get like, ugh, because I know how like overly dramatic and just like drama for the sake of drama that show is sometimes. So I don't want it to go down that way and like feel like too campy and like they're not really focusing on the characters but more like the plot and like the shock value. But season 1 had like really shocking moments, but that were like, they really put in the time to make them shocking. Like Miriam getting beat up and like almost left for dead, and then like you thinking like, oh, now like clearly she's been wrong, and then realizing that like no, they actually side with Leanne and all them and everything, and seeing that horror and how that is like true to how things can go, especially like in terms of like class and status and how money can buy you a lot of stuff. And I think what I particularly liked about the first season so much was the examination of power in groups. So it's like Leanne had a lot of power at the school as like the rich person, the person in charge, but then take her out of that, at her house she was like the young girl, like the daughter of the family, and she didn't have a lot of power there. And then she took it in an extreme direction at school. So I feel like that was what I really liked looking at, was like the different dynamics and how one person can hold different dynamics in certain like different scopes of their life and how that affects them, and how, you know, like they might take one thing out that they can't have in some place completely on another place. So I feel like I hope that they kind of look into that more. I'm also curious like how they are going to address what happened, because I feel like that's oftentimes what happens in like Elite or like Riverdale or like these shows where like they always have like something dramatic and just crazy happening that like it's not addressed, and it feels unrealistic because you're like, okay, if this thing happened at our school, like everyone would be talking about it for years to come. It's not just like, oh, now that those people are gone, no one's talking about it. Like you would still be talking about it. So I hope it's still brought up and talked about, even if it's just like, you know, like, hey, this is like what happened, or if people kind of figured out what happened, and like this is like the next stage of that, of like some people maybe trying to like emulate what Miriam did or something like that, and not realizing the full repercussions of her actions. So I just want to know more about the individual girls. Like I feel like if I could have got like a little bio of them, of like who's who, that would have helped a lot more to understand the dynamics and the power shifts within them, because clearly there's that one girl that's in charge, and then there's that other girl who like is very focused on like being popular and abandons her friend when she does get popular. But it will be interesting just to see like all the different kind of themes that they go with, since there are so many that they could pick from. So I'm definitely curious to check it out, and I think it's gonna be hard. It has some big shoes to fill, and the girls themselves have big shoes to fill, because the characters from season 1 were so amazing, and the actresses did such an amazing job with all of them and with the dynamics and the chemistry between all of them. And I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that they can live up to it, and even if it's not like as good as season 1, hopefully it's still entertaining and good and says something, because that's what I really liked about season 1, was how different it felt from most things. So I'll definitely be watching and checking it out. I'm not saying that I think it's going to be as good, but I'm hopeful that it will be. They do look interesting thus far, the characters, and I mean, we do know the school. We saw one of the teachers is back, so we do kind of know the dynamic, but it'll also be interesting like if they do address like what happened, how that now changes the shift. Because I also feel like you can kind of look at, and it's not that big of a time difference, but just kind of how like certain things don't fly anymore, of like if like the popular person is like an outright bully, that might not fly as much as like someone who is more covertly, you know, after everything that happened, of like people being like, we're not going to let another Leanne like run the school, so someone has to kind of more slyly figure out how to do it, and it's more based on social media popularity instead of like actual popularity and fear in the school. So there's a lot of ideas I have and guesses I have for what it will be, but I honestly have no idea what it will be like. So I think we just gotta watch the season and see how it's gonna be, get introduced to the girls and figure out who they are and what their personalities are and everything like that. And I'm excited. I didn't know that it was coming back. Like I said, I feel like it hasn't been promoted, which is kind of weird considering the first season did so phenomenally, but that did phenomenally on little promotion, so maybe that's what they're going for again. But yeah, if you have seen this trailer, please feel free to leave your thoughts about it down below in the comments. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let me know if you'd be interested in seeing reactions to season 2. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!